Hey everyone, hope everybody is doing absolutely great. I'm back with my new video, and today I'm going to talk to you all about B2B foundations. Yes, B2B is business to business. So I'm going to tell you briefly about what is B2B and what are the skills required to get into the field of B2B, and how can one be successful in B2B, right? So let's get started. The most important point here is what is B2B, right? We know sales and we know about B2B, we know B2C, but what is B2B? B2B is, as it stands for business to business, which means you're selling your products and services to another business. It's different from B2C, which most of you would have heard about. B2C is where you're directly selling it to customers, the consumers who are the end users. Here, but in B2B, it's a little more complex where you don't really directly sell it to the end user, the consumers. Rather, you sell it to another business. It could be wholesalers, distributors, retailers, different accounts. It could be different anybody but the end user, right? So it's a little more complex, and it can involve different people, because you're dealing with other businesses, right? Now, what are the important skills what you require for a B2B sales person or to be successful in B2B? Now, a lot of people have this misconception that if you're really good with communication, if you're very easygoing, if you're like got a lot of energy, that's when you can do well in sales. Um, I mean, that's partly correct, but that's not completely correct, because you have a lot of people when you actually look at sales people who are successful. There are a lot of people who are like quite introverted, quite silent, but then you will see that they're doing exceedingly well in sales and you will wonder why. Now, what's most important to be a successful B2B salesperson is to understand consumer behavior, is to understand the needs of your clients and address those needs accordingly. So if I have a product and I am a B2B person, I need to understand what is the need of my customer. Here, my customer is my client or any other business I'm working with. So what do they need, and how can I fit my product to actually fit their need, um, maybe I'll put it like this. So basically, as a client, I might look to reach a certain destination. Now, as a B2B salesperson, my job is to help him, assist him in the journey to reach that destination. So basically, my product or the service I give him will help him take that journey and reach the destination, is achieve the desired need he needs, right? So that's what is my job, right? So basically, we as a good B2B person need to understand the customer needs and address them. The important skills what a B2B salesperson needs to possess, he needs to be interested in helping, always looking out for helping your clients. That has to be your topmost priority. Is basically, you need to achieve your sales goals. For that, it's very important to understand your customer very well and address it so that you can achieve your goal. So that needs to be your topmost priority. You have to know when your products are beneficial. Now, a lot of people do this mistake. They get a lot of leads and they try to convert every lead coming their way, which is realistically not possible. As we all know, we've been in sales and we understand that not every lead gets converted. So what is important for you is you need to understand which clients would be benefited with your product. So basically, your product, you need to target people or clients who would actually be benefited with your product, right? You cannot like just target anybody. So you need to understand, okay, maybe is my product going to be beneficial to them? If yes, then I'm going to target this person. So you need to clearly identify who are your right customers. Otherwise, you do not want to waste your energy on everyone, right? And you need to ask good questions. It's very important whenever you're talking to another business to ask them important questions. And when they ask you question, don't just get like very impatient to finish your pitch. Suppose you're going and meeting a new client, and you have like your, obviously your company prepares business decks for you, you have a set presentation, you have a way of packaging and presenting your product or a service, but your whole aim should not be to go and just vomit it. Your aim is to actually fall in love with your product and fall in love with your customer or your client, and see that whenever you're giving that pitch or making that pitch, if they are asking you questions, it's actually a good thing. That means they're interested in your product. Most of the time, if they don't ask questions, that means there's something wrong with it. Like, a lot of people think that, oh, there are no questions asked, maybe I did really well, and they would be expecting a call from the client, but then that never happens because the client was actually not interested or not serious about it in the first place. So if your client is asking you a lot of questions, that means he's actually interested in purchasing your product. So it's very nice to actually address their questions, even if that seems a bit interruptive. It's very important to address it, and that makes you get a step closer to your goal of achieving your given target of converting that customer, right? And as a salesperson, you need to be very thick-skinned, because there are a lot of times when you will hear not so nice comments, not so nice things, maybe from your managers, maybe from your clients, maybe other key stakeholders. So you need to be very, very strong, very resilient. You need to also have a very high self-esteem, and you need to be very confident, that no matter what, it's fine, life goes on. You need to keep doing things, right? Now, B2B selling in this post-pandemic world. Now, before the pandemic, before 2020, 2021, B2B sales was more like visiting your stakeholders, talking. It was mostly about face-to-face interaction. Now, what happens is, after this COVID era, so after the post-pandemic world, it's everything is mostly virtual. It's not surprising that we have a lot of B2B sales happening now virtually. There are actually a couple of good things because of this. It's actually quite advantageous. I'll tell you why. Because here what happens is, when you are doing it virtually, that means the buyers, the potential buyers who you have, they actually come prepared. Like, they already like do their enough research about the product or the service. They're already interested in it. That's why they want to attend it virtually. So they're already interested in it, and they have a fair understanding about what the product is. They would have Googled, done their set of research and everything. Now they will come prepared with a set of questions which they want to ask you. So it's nice. So you're also ready, they are ready. So there's a lot of utilization and more productive meetings which take place. And the meetings can be larger because it's virtual. You can involve a lot of more people, and it's easier to actually get everything clear at one place, right? And it's also easier to build consensus because you have everybody there, and it's easier for the buyers also to make their decision at the same time, correct? Now, next thing is collaborating with your colleagues in B2B sales. Now, it's very important to have a good relationship with your colleagues for B2B sales, and even with other departments, say the marketing, the legal, the brand team, and everyone. It's very important, but I would always say that keep your first priority as achieving your sales goals, which is your targets, because that comes on the top and everything else comes later as a salesperson. Though in sales, like, a lot of people talk about building relationships, which is a very important part of doing sales very well, but at the same time, it's very important to keep your goals straight and achieve your sales target, and that has to be your top priority, being a good B2B salesperson. Now, if you obviously want to also have a good relationship with your other team members, because say for tomorrow, like, you're managing your territory, and you would need to promote your product or a service in a certain way tailored for the customers or the clients in your territory. So if you have a good relationship with the marketing team, and if you tell them, they will try to manage it within their budget, and they'll try to work it out for you. So it's very important, and that will help you achieve your target. So it's very important to have good relationship with them. But I would still say that keep your main goal, which is achieving your sales numbers, as top priority, at the same time maintaining relationship with every other person involved in this whole process, right? And yeah, focus on only important requests, like I said, like focus on that. And then something which is not so important, you can obviously consider that later, right? Now, next important point is dealing with rejection in B2B sales. Now, we all have been there, and we all know that rejection is just not a nice thing to, not rejection is not a nice feeling, right? But it's very important. As a salesperson, there are so many times when you get rejected. There are so many occasions when you have been treated badly. And so it's very important to be very, very thick skinned, very resilient. And you should use that as a learning. You should use every form of rejection in your life as an improvement, so that you do better. So when you are rejected, ask yourself the question, why am I rejected? What is the reason? Is it because of the price? Is it because if there is a competitor who's doing better, or is it maybe some external factor, or is it me myself? Try and dig deep and try and find the answer to the question. Ask why, and make sure that you improve better, like try to work on it and get better at it. That's the only way you can succeed in sales, because their rejection will put you down, will make you feel low. But a good salesperson is the one who feels bad but gets up and fights back and makes that conversion, right? Next, it's very important to define your best customer. Now, you will have a lot of customers, a lot of clients, as I said, but it's very important to find your best customer. As I said, you will have like 10 leads, but you need not focus on all the leads. You need to focus on the ones which will, you don't want to like waste your energy on everything. You would rather focus on um the ones which give you maximum revenue, right? So I'll give you an example of me. I was working with this US based pharmaceutical company previously, and I had this opportunity of working with a very premium product, and which had it was quite expensive. And I knew that I had like a bunch of customers who would actually can use my product. But then I knew that India was a price sensitive market, so you cannot target every customer. Instead, you need to focus on the ones who would actually be able to sell it to the patients, and target those doctors, those tier 1 or top doctors who would be able to actually, whose patients would actually be able to buy those products, and then actually generate revenue from there. So I was like very clear. I was like, okay, these are like the few people I'm gonna like focus on, and they were my retained, they were the customers who were retained. They were my repeat customers, and their customers, who were the patients, actually bought the products, and they generated a lot of revenue for me. So I didn't focus on everyone. I focused on the people who actually could bring me revenue, and all my 100% focus was on them, and I did not care about anybody else, because that's the way it is. You cannot focus on everyone, because everyone's not going to give you business. You need to find who are the right customers, and then everyone is different, everyone behaves different, everyone everyone expects different things, so you need to understand what their needs are, and you need to tailor it in such a way that your product is beneficial to them. So you need to basically fill in the gap, and you need to address their needs so that they would want your product. Okay. And you also, your best customer, to answer the question, is a person who will look at value of your product. Okay. They will not look at price or anything. They'll consider what value your product is giving to you, and they will look at it like it's an ongoing purchase for them. So they would buy it. They are your repeat customers, they are your repeat clients. You would obviously want to target such people only, right? Then it's very important to build relationships with key prospects. It's very important to build relationships with them, so that you have them, retain them as your customers, and so that there's cash flow, there's always revenue coming from them, right? The best way to get clients is warm referrals. Now this is basically warm referrals. It could be through your existing clients, it could be through your colleagues, it could be with your friends, relatives, etc. So basically, whenever you meet your existing client, you can also tell them that, you can whenever you meet another person, you can give them your card and tell them that if you meet somebody who is interested in the similar potential buyer, please pass on my number and I'll be happy to meet them and stuff like that. You should always do that networking with your existing clients, because there'll be times when your existing clients will meet other potential buyers. They would have the similar or the same mindset. So it's basically important for you to target them, and also go to events or shows where you can have your potential buyers. Make sure you host that event, or be a facilitator, or participate in it, or or talk to clients there. Pass on your card, pass on your number, try to set up a meeting with them. So you need to do all these things, and that's how you will get more clients, right? And evaluating, how do you evaluate the prospects for their key qualities? So every prospect or a potential buyer, you can evaluate it on the spaces. It's called as mandate. It's M stands for money. Like, see that if they have the money to buy your product or your service, when you look at them, you would understand if they, or their behavior would make you understand. A stands for authority. Authority is like, are they in a position, are they the decision maker to buy the particular product or service, or are they not? Basically, you need to find if they are the decision maker, because that's very important. Because see, suppose for an example, I'm going to a showroom with my parents to buy a car, but then it's my car, but I don't have the money to buy it, and my dad has the money. So I'm not the decision maker, but my dad is a decision maker. So actually here, the person in the showroom, the salesman, needs to target my father, because my needs are important, but he also needs to see him, because he's the decision maker and he's the one who's going to spend the money to buy the car, right? Okay, so N stands for need. See if the customer really needs your product or service. As I said, you cannot target everybody. You need to target the customers who would actually need your product or service. D stands for desire to buy. See that if the customer has a desire to buy something, your product or your service. Suppose it's something new to them and I'm intrigued by a certain product or service, I have like a certain desire to buy it, then see if that person has a desire for it. So these are the few things or qualities you need to see on a potential prospect, or in order to target them to buy your product or service, right? Ensure that there's a great initial B2B prospect meeting. So whenever you have the first meeting with the prospect, you need to make sure that it goes great, and you need to have like, when you meet them first, I'm sure they already would have briefly understand your product or service. Make sure that you have a shared agenda, like explain to them that this is what it's going to be like, how do you want to go about it. Then their questions, their concerns or their burning questions need to be a part of the agenda. So make it like a more of a collaborative approach, so that it is very, very, it doesn't seem like a monotonous thing for the client, right? anticipating what they are asking, then responding to that. And obviously people will have objections if yours is an expensive product in the market and there are competitors selling it at a cheaper rate. They will obviously have questions regarding it, they'll have objections. It is actually very good if they have objections or questions. That means they're really interested in your product. Always keep in mind that if no one's asking questions, that means something's wrong. It's better to they ask you questions and you address them, right? And agree to get a conceptual agreement. Now, what is a conceptual agreement? Is basically whatever you've discussed verbally on the guidelines, which includes the price and everything, all the aspects included, is actually out before you outline it in a contract. It's discussed, and that same would be outlined in a contract. So that's called conceptual agreement, that you're agreeing on all terms with the decision maker, right? Closing a B2B sales deal. Whenever you're closing a B2B sales deal or trying to close one, always, whenever you're having these meetings, always end every meeting with next steps, so that there's always something to do in the next meeting. It's very important to do that and have objectives set for the next meeting. And it's very important for you to understand, as I said, who is the decision making process, like who are the decision makers, and what and it's very important that all the stakeholders involved in it are on the same page. Sometimes it so happens that the person who you're talking to may not be the final person who signs a contract. So you want to make sure that all the stakeholders are aligned and everyone's on the same page. And you have to create a sense of urgency. Sometimes if you have like good relationships with your clients, you can also tell them that, oh, I have to meet the target in Q1, if it's okay. Because if they would buy now or next after 2 weeks, that means they would still buy it. Instead, you can tell them to buy a week before, just for you to meet your target. So that sort of urgency you can create if you have a good relationship with your client. Then important to identify decision makers. Be honest with them, like, okay, this is, what, I have my quarter end and I need to meet my target, so it's very important. It'll be really, really nice if you could just close this deal as soon as possible. That way, people actually genuinely, if you have like genuine intentions, people definitely want to help you out. So do not, if you're honest, I don't think anything is wrong with that, so you can do it. So, and then build B2B sales goals for yourself. Create an Excel for yourself, like have goals that, okay, this is what I desire to achieve and this is what I've achieved. Where is the gap? Think about it and see how you can fill in those gaps. Have a target for yourself and see if you're achieving those B2B goals. It's very important that you have one for yourself so that you can evaluate and see where you stand. And next is, and the last important point is handling missed sales goals. Sometimes no, it's very, very common that you will miss your sales goal every now and then, or maybe I don't know, it depends. So it's very important to handle that very well. Whenever you see that you're missing, you're doing really consistently well and suddenly you start missing goals, see what's the problem, whether it's an external problem. Do not always blame the external situation, saying that, oh, it's because of competitor, it's because the product launch got delayed, or because the competitor, they're selling it at a lower price. Try to take ownership of if things are going wrong, take ownership of that. It's very important to do that in life. And if you see that there's something off, talk to your boss, ask his suggestions, tell him that, what, boss, like, it was going well, but I think now we are having this problem. How do I resolve it? What is your suggestion? What is your take on it? Get his feedback, because obviously he would have like a lot more experience than you, and it's always nice to get a different perspective, and that will help you understand and plan your strategy better. Yeah, so these are like few key and important points to achieve, to become a good B2B salesperson and to also achieve your sales goals. Let me know if you have any questions, and that's all for today. Thank you for watching my video and have a great one. Cheers. Bye.